Yeah. This is the Legacy League. Tell me where your legacy be. Yeah.
All right, welcome back everybody to week 3 of the Massachusetts 2026 summer season. And I'm just gonna say it was one of those weeks. Not too many exciting games. A lot of things did happen. The standings will flip a little bit. And there is now still an undefeated team. We had a battle of the undefeated teams, and somebody came out on top on that. So we'll talk about that. But first, shout out our sponsors as always, Ethos and the 110 Grill. Shout out those guys. Check them out. Buy their products, get their food, do whatever. But support them. They're awesome and they're legitimately good businesses. So, yeah. And shout out Carter, Daniel, Jordan for joining me today. We're going to be talking about these games. We'll be talking about next week's games, and we'll be talking about a very spicy question at the end. So, yeah, stick around for all of that. We'll get into our first game, though. That game will be the Squad versus OTM. In another low-scoring game for OTM, they only scored 39 to the Squad's 58. And the scoring for the Squad was very, very spread out. OTM, Adrian Phillips led the way again with 15 points, but he's not shooting very well. But really no one on that team is to say. But to give them credit is their defense. Their defense has been really good. The teams they play against, aren't scoring that many too. They only scored 58 to their 39. Their defense is strong, but they got to find a score and they got to trust their shooters a little bit more. Yeah, Daniel, were you at this game? Were you sitting on this game?
I believe
not
yes,
sure
I
which
was. I believe I was doing the live stream for this one.
All right. Talk about the Squad a little bit. What did you see from them?
This was a team win. I mean, to just put it lightly, this was a team that didn't just play have one person shooting the ball. They were all getting chances. They were all going up, and they were just having a good time. I mean, honestly, I've never seen a team in this league have so much fun just throwing it down the court and make it look like they're playing pickup with their buddies. I mean, John Callan, obviously one of the taller guys on the court, he just was dominant, and he was throwing it down any chance he got, and he's such an impact down low because with his height and with his wingspan, he's able to make just so much, I'm gonna say, creativity out of that, because you can throw him lobs. He's able to pass it out wide. He's able to create more opportunities for his teammates, like Josmani Castro. I mean, I like to call him the coach a little bit, because you'll hear him on the sideline talking to these guys and just trying to hype him up. And especially when I'm sitting at the table, and he's a funny guy to listen to. I'll say that.
That's one thing about Josh Monty year after year. He is the hype man. He is the coach. He never stops hustling. Even if he's up 20 with 10 seconds left, he's still playing crazy press defense. That's just what Josh Monty does, and he just brings an energy to a team that builds a chemistry like we're seeing the Squad build week after week. It seems they get closer and closer each week. After that first week loss to Who's Next, it seems they really have kind of found the glue, found what's rocking with them, and the scoring being spread out like that just shows that this is a team win, like Daniel said. And for OTM, I mean, the scoring is just, they're in a scoring drought, scoring under 40 the last 2 weeks. They gotta lock in, get their shots going. We want to see some more shots from around the team. Terrence Gallo, he's a great scorer, but I think people figure him out when he's crashing to the rim every time. Maybe Terrence can start lighting up for 3. Who knows? Why not? Just go for it. Yeah, I mean, a low-scoring game. Not too much to be said about this one. I think it was, some of us picked OTM, but I think the majority picked the Squad. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how OTM grows, and we'll see how the Squad continue to grow. Both, I think, in different ways. The Squad's up here, the OTM's down here, but their goal is both up there. But Squad has figured it out a lot better and a lot faster than OTM has, and they get this win this week. In our next matchup, this was the battle of the undefeated teams. It was Who's Next versus us over them, and Who's Next came out on top. Still to not have lost a Legacy Leagues game, which is crazy. They took this one 78-65, and they really just had a 9-point lead the entire game. It kind of was never close. I think the closest it came was 6 points, honestly, after that first quarter. For Who's Next, Ijun Brown, I mean, he's just lights out. His mid-range is crazy. Especially, I don't know how he adapted this fast to 8.5 foot hoops. He's just a natural hooper, I guess. Yeah, he makes it look easy. For us over them, Isaac Lane led the way, 27 points, and Shaq had 19. But other than that, the scoring was a bit thin. And this was a defensive game, I think. It came down to the defense, and us over them just were not there defensively. We were not there defensively. I'll say that since I'm on the team. Um, yeah, and it's I'll talk more after, but I'll go to Carter. I'll hop over to you. Who's next remains on top. What do you see with this team? You know, how do you see a team like this continue to get better if they even can?
Yeah, I mean, this is my first week kind of watching who's next. I knew they were a great team coming into this, but they play so well together. You can tell that they played together for a long time. And this was a team that, correct me if I'm wrong, they won the Winter League.
Yep, yep.
So this is a team that has championship aspirations and pedigree. I think the best way for this team to get better is just to keep working on that team chemistry, keep plugging away at kind of. I know they out rebounded us over them by a considerable margin. I think it was 30-22 that they out rebounded them. So if they can just keep getting better, crashing boards, and I think one thing they did really well was getting their heads. So I think just having that team mentality, playing together, playing as a team, I think that's the best way for them to get better. And I can see them going to the final.
Yeah, and Jordan, I'll bounce it right to you. Us over them, you know, being the number one ranked team in the power rankings last week to now coming up with their first loss. How do you see a team like this bouncing back, and what do you think they need to fix for next week? I think a big, yeah, they got a big matchup next week. So what do you think you got to see from them?
I just think they need to go back to their P's and Q's. I mean, first week, I think Shaq Murray had their way. He had his way. Isaac Lane also had his way. He led this way, way out. But yeah, I just think the first couple weeks they made the rim look like the Logan Airport runway a little bit. Like it was just takeoff, play after play. A lot of just physical baskets that drew fouls. Just yeah, play your game and just like who's next? Like I said, I hate to say I told you so that they're gonna win, but who's next? They just have their like they have an intent to score every time they touch the ball or to make a productive play. Maybe just set up a new offense, 5 out. You could have guys swing baseline, have Shaq Murray maybe off the ISO, and have Isaac Lane off the corner. There's just a lot of sets you could run. I think that they could have. But yeah, I think they'll have their way next week.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I can be more critical since it's my team. I think we talked about last week about super teams, and we brought up James Harden and those teams that always seem to fail. And we kind of saw why this week, I think. You know, Isaac was only missed 3 shots this game, and I think one of them was a questionable foul. So he really didn't miss much, and I think he only took like 1 shot in the last 5 minutes. And I think we needed to get the ball to him. He showed frustration, and I think it was, I think it was deserved.
Mm-hmm.
He is a great scorer, and we could have used that down the stretch. And I think we need to know when to to get the ball to a guy. Some of these guys are used to averaging 20 to 30 points a game, and like Amani's taken a huge step back with his team. He was MVP last season, averaging 30. Now he's got to take a step back, and I think he's done a good job with that so far. But there's just times down the stretch we got to find the hot hand, and if Isaac's not having a good night, we get the ball over to Shaq or Gio, or we got to get Derek going too. We haven't really let him kind of show his true form yet, and he was great last season. So we got to kind of find a way to mesh all these our skills together. And I think if you want the ball on offense, you got to get it on defense. You got to put in the effort on defense, and defense just wasn't there. Just the defense on Isaac Brown, it was good, but we have to make adjustments when he's getting to his spot every time. We got to be able to get a quick double, um, be able to rotate fast enough to catch onto Yala under the paint, or catch onto Brandon and those other guys. Because the refs, I mean, we had like 9 more fouls called for us this game, and we still lost. So it was definitely one sided in that sense. and we also were missing free throws. There was just a lot to clean up, but I think it was definitely a defensive game, and just the intensity wasn't there from the jump. And Who's Next got out to an early lead, and we just never caught up. And I think that's just the hard truth there. But yeah, that was the battle of the undefeateds. And now we'll go on to our next matchup. We only have 3 matchups this week, by the way. We had a forfeit, which sucks, and I really hope that team figures it out and starts showing up, because this isn't fun for us. We want to see these matchups. We want to have more to talk about. So please show up. But for our last matchup, RA Wave versus Team Missouri. RA Wave took this one 102-69. We've said his name plenty of times. Rich Hall, dude, another 40 bomb for him. Brian Heston, I think, is just a perfect second man for this team. 22 points, 12 rebounds, 4 blocks. Defensively, this dude is cemented in Legacy League's history with the amount of Defensive Player of the Year he's won in Rhode Island, but he seems to be carrying that over, and he seems to be getting back into the groove of Legacy Leagues after taking a minute off. For Team Missouri, Casey Kendall, 23 points, big night for him, shooting very well from the 3, but that team, this was just, no one on that team could guard Rich, and that's what it was, really. I think this would have been, if they didn't have Rich Hall, this would have been a really close game, but they have Rich Hall. And, RA Wave still let up 69 points to Missouri, who have struggled in the past few weeks to score. So, there's opportunities for them, and I've seen the growth in this team, and they've continued to play better. And, but Rich Hall, I mean, we just haven't found anybody to stop him yet. Whether that's coming in the next few weeks, we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be coming next week, but yeah, Rich Hall has been on a tear, and we'll talk about him probably later. But yeah, Daniel, I'll go back to you if you want to talk about this team. I'm not sure if you were on this court,
No,
but if
I
you
would
want to talk
say,
about ROA Wave so far and Rich Hall.
yeah, I mean, obviously last week I picked them as my champions and my prediction for the champions of this league. I'm sticking with it because we're seeing Rich Hall average 40 each week. I mean, I don't care what's the strength of team you're playing. If you're consistently dropping 40 points a week, that is, I mean, I'm a big stats guy. That says a lot. This team is not a team that just be chucking up shots. They are moving like a unit. And overall, I think that this team can make a really far run in the playoffs. And I think, and this is just another dominant win for them. I mean, obviously, Missouri has had their struggles, and in this league, it doesn't matter who you're playing. All you need to do is go out there and win. And I think that's the message that RI Wave is sending the league right now. No matter who they're playing, no matter who they want, no matter what the strength of the opponent they have, it's not if we're gonna win. It's when we're gonna win, how we're gonna win.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the person who can stop Rich Hall is himself. Maybe it's a bad shooting night is what we're going to see from him, and that's going to be what stops him. Because right now, I mean, they haven't played Who's Next yet, and I think that team has a lot of good defenders. There's a lot of great defenders on us over them, but we contained him to the point where we won, but he still dropped 40, or maybe it was just under 40, but he's averaging 40 so far, so he's doing so much for this team. And with Heston being that second man option, the rest of the guys can kind of ease up and play their game and not have to worry about scoring every possession, especially when you got Rich doing what he's doing. Yeah. We can move on from this one. There's not too much talk about from this one. It was a bit of a blowout. Like I said right at the beginning, it was one of those weeks, and it's just not the most interesting week in terms of games. There weren't really any close games, and we had a forfeit. What are we gonna do? It's only week 3. We're gonna get better, and yeah. We'll jump into our question of the week. The usual, we call it the 110 Grill question of the week, but we got to add Ethos in there for being a sponsor as well. So the Ethos 110 Grill question of the week, and that is going to be our early stamps on MVP predictions, because we had our stamps on champions, and we want to stick with those teams throughout the season, but we also want to maybe take a chance on a player not on that MVP team, or sorry, on that championship team that we pick for MVP to kind of rock with for the rest of the season and kind of get on their good side if you want to. If there's any guys you like and you want to get on their good side, now's the time. Yeah, there's a good selection of guys to pick from, I think. But yeah, Carter, I'll go to you first. You get first picking, so
All
no
right.
one no one can
So,
copy each other either. So if he takes your guy, you got to find someone else. That's how we're doing it.
you know what? I want to be kind of basic and choose Rich Hall, but at the same time, there's somebody that I want to pick that's on a team that didn't show up this week, surprisingly, and that's Gian out of Eston. I don't know if I pronounced his last name right, but this dude is a sniper from three. When he's hot, I don't think there's a lot of people in the league that can stop him. And so I'm going to cement Gian for my MVP.
He was MVP back when I was intern, so that is a nostalgic pick for me. And I know he had a lot of excitement for coming to this league, coming to the Mass League, and he was one of the two guys that showed up this week for his team. So he's here to play and he wants to win, and he definitely wants that MVP too. I know him, and I know he would want that too. Um, yeah, I mean, there is a great chance, especially if his team doesn't show up and he has to play every minute of every single game. That is a good way to win MVP, is especially when you're winning games and you're one of the only guys who's playing. Um, yeah, he has a definite case for himself. He can get hot on any given night against any team, I think. He's played against the best teams in Rhode Island, and he's done great against them. You know, that season that I played in, or sorry, I interned for, when he won an MVP. So many of those teams were great. I think his team lost in the quarterfinals. He might have been a 3 or 4 seed, but there was a lot of good talent in that season, and he was still averaging um, over 40. I think it was over 40 or 50, but he was having a crazy season. Deserved that MVP. Um, and yeah, there's a very good chance he has a repeat season. So we'll see from him. Jordan, I'll go to you next. Gion's off the table, so.
Yeah, since we're playing this game, I'm gonna let Daniel pick who everyone probably thinks is gonna be MVP, but I'm gonna say Algin Brown. I mean, in my opinion, so far this season, he's been the best player on the best basketball team. I mean, it's like if Gilbert Arenas and Donovan Mitchell had like a love child, like on an 8.5 foot rim league. I feel like every time he gets the ball, it's a highlight. Every time he gets the ball, he has an intent to score. And yeah, as long as I feel like who's next, they just kind of showed a mockery out of us over them, who was number one on the power rankings, and it looks like they might steamroll. Who knows? And if they do, yeah, I think Algin Brown will probably lead the way in the points category, and he's a playmaker as well. He had 5 assists last game. I want to say he had 5 assists a couple games ago as well. So, yeah, give me Elgin Brown.
All right. Well, I was gonna force myself to pick somebody off of my team, and you might have just stolen my player. So thanks, Jordan. I made the rule too, so I can't be mad. Daniel, if you want, hey, you can stick with your championship team and pick you want to pick if you would like.
I'm consistent, and I'm gonna say Rich Hall. I mean, it's simple for me. If you average 40 points a game, I think that's a pretty good reason to win MVP. And along with that, it's when you play him, you always have to worry about him. No matter if it's scoring, no matter if it's passing, no matter if it's defense, he is the player you dream of to be on your team, to lead your team to a championship. And I honestly think that there is no reason why RI Wave could not make a run with this guy leading the way, because he also involves his teammates. He gets assists. It's not like he's just shooting up 40 shots a game. It's him passing the ball. It's him rebounding the ball, kicking it out. He's dunking it and making great plays, but he also wants his teammates to be involved. And I think that's going to lead them to a championship.
All right. Yeah, I mean those are the three obvious picks. If I had to pick someone for my team, I'm sticking with Isaac. I think we can get him hot, and I think we can really get him to perform to his best of his abilities. And we'll see who's next in a few weeks, and that's going to be an interesting matchup. I think we kind of had a chance to feel how each other play in the sense of the team, and I think we're going to come out a little different. And I think Isaac's really going to show why he's an MVP contender. But I said I wasn't going to stick with my team, so I won't. Um, you know, on, Rich Hall is Rich Hall, but I think we got to give a shout out to Brian Heston. I mean, what Rich Hall is doing offensively, he's got Brian Heston there alongside him offensively, but also defensively. I mean, Brian Heston's leading the league in rebounding, assists, and blocks. And he's averaging, I think, 20 something a game. So if he can keep that up, he's in lead the league in 3 statistics. That it can't be ignored, obviously, and along with playing amazing defense, that can't be ignored. It was like my whole thing with this year's MVP race in the NBA. I thought Wemby deserved it just because like you play that well defensively and you're up there offensively with the award as well. I think they should have given it to Wemby, but that's a whole other thing. We'll talk about it different time. But another guy I want to talk about is Tack Gomes. He's kind of leading the way for that run it up team who's looking to get their second summer championship in a row, and he is the guy on that team. He shoots lights out sometimes, so he's somebody I think who would be another great pick. So Heston I think is somebody to look for, and Tack Gomes as well. Right now, we're not throwing any shade to like the squad because they are obviously 2-1 and we haven't picked anybody from them, but really no one on that team has showed they're like a step up than the rest of their team, just because the scoring is spread out each week. If you wanted to pick somebody, you got Musa, who's leading this, I think, the scoring in the first 2 weeks. He's a great player, and he's been an all-star in the past season, so he's done a very good job with that team so far. But with OTM and Missouri, it's much harder to pick somebody from those guys. I just don't see anyone coming from that team to win it so far. Who knows what happens? But yeah, so we got Rich, we got Ijun, and we got Gian. Those are some good picks. Almar from ASAP too. He won an MVP last season in the winter for Rhode Island, so he has MVP potential. There's a lot of amazing guys in this league, and it's only week 3, but that's why we're doing a little early prediction so we can say, we told you so. So that's what we're doing with this week's question, and we'll move into our next week matchups, and that will be the last thing we touch upon. We'll talk about I think the best matchup first, and that is Run-It-Up versus Who's Next. I think this is the best matchup next week. I think Run-It-Up, they lost, and then they had a win off of a forfeit. So they've had a bit of time to recover and kind of get their mental straight. I think they're really hungry to play a competitive game since this week it was kind of just a shoot around for them. And I think Who's Next is the perfect team for them to kind of try this out on and try to bounce back on. So it's whether Run-Up falls to 2-2 or gives Who's Next their first loss. I think it's going to be very interesting. Daniel, I'll just jump right to you. Run-It-Up versus Who's Next. Who do you think's taking this one?
I mean, if you win 3 games straight, I think there comes a time where you get a fourth as well. I think that Who's Next is going to keep this winning streak alive. And even though Running Up is a very good team, the chemistry is there. They have a ton of great talent on that team. This is going to be the closest game of the week. Both of these teams are just so talented. But I think Who's Next is going to squeak out the win here. And they have the potential to just keep this going maybe till week 5 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't lost yet. It's hard to bet against them, but we'll see what Carter and Georgia think. Carter, you go first.
So y'all know who I picked for my champion last week. I'm sticking with them this week. I'm sticking with Run It Up. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit mad because I picked us over them to win this week, and they didn't win. So I'm gonna double down and I'm gonna go for Run It Up this week. Tack Gomes, Sean Yard, when they're on, they're on. I know this was a forfeit game as well this week, but if you score 167 points as a team, you're not a bad team. And obviously, there's a lot of circumstances going into that. But, I mean, Sean Yard with 58, Tack Gomes 55. I think this team can really give them a run, and I'm going to go with Run It Up.
Yeah, I mean, it would be smart. I mean, Who's Next is going to hate you now? So you've made an enemy picking against them 2 weeks in a row, even though you were wrong. But, yeah, I mean, it's hard to listen, I'll go before Jordan goes just because it's either I go first or last most of the time, so I'll switch it up. But maybe I'm petty because I just lost to him, but I think I'm gonna pick Run Up too. And that's, I think, if Marcus Collins shows up too. He wasn't there this week, so I hope he shows up next week. But he's their big man, and I think he's the kind of key to contain, you know, those bigger guys on who's next in Yala and Jamal. So I think they definitely need their whole team running up. But if they got their whole team, they're the previous summer champions for a reason. They beat some really good teams in that season. Though they lost some regular season games, just like we saw last or 2 weeks ago with the squad. I think Run Up really has a chance, and I think Who's Next needs to get. They need to lose a single game. This is getting crazy. They got to lose a game. Darwin, I'm tired of you winning every single season and going almost undefeated. I think he's only lost like one regular season game ever. So we got to get this guy his loss. And yeah, Jordan, who you want to go with?
Yeah, I'm taking Who's Next by 5 or more. I just think they're a dominant team. It's kind of crazy how they're always somehow the underdog in these picks, even though I think they just proven why they're the best team so far. But yeah, give me Who's Next.
It's underdog because people like underdogs, or people like
I do
picking the
too, but
underdogs. I know.
I
I
don't
mean, it's
know.
hard to pick against a team. I'll add up next week. I'll add up their entire team's
Are
win
we
loss and
calling a
see
3-0
how
team an
many wins in
underdog?
a row they have. But
Are we calling a 3-0
no,
team
no,
an
no, no.
underdog?
I'm
No,
saying
no,
people
no.
like to pick.
I don't know.
No, we like to pick the underdogs. That's why we're sticking with run up. We like to make it interesting,
Okay, all right.
even if it puts our resumes on the line. But it's a little split there. Maybe we're leaning towards one side just for the fun of it. But Who's Next versus Run Up? That's probably the best matchup of the week. We'll go into our next ones. That one's being OTM versus RI Wave. I'm going RI Wave. I mean, OTM just has had such a big struggle in scoring these last couple of weeks, and maybe they'll bounce back a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They scored 30, 39, 35 these last 2 weeks, and RA Wave scored over 100 this week. I just don't think they have what it takes just yet. I mean, OTM's done a great job defensively, so maybe they have something that can slow down Rich and not have him put up 40 like he has been doing every single week to every team. But we'll see. Because if you stop Rich, you gotta stop the other guys too. You gotta stop Jared. You gotta stop Brian. Yeah, I'm sticking RI Wave. I think it's pretty easy pick there. Daniel, do you even need to? ROA is your team, so do you even need to say anything?
No, I mean, there's not much to say here. ROA's on a roll. OTM, watching them last week, it was a little rough. Just because while they were putting up a lot of good shots, they just weren't falling. It might have been one of those weeks, but I think it's going to take so much for them to overcome a team that's on a roll right now. And yeah, I mean, hats off to them, and they pull up the upset here. But RA Wave, I think they have this pretty easily.
Jordan, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm gonna hop on the bandwagon here and say RR Wave. OTM. I feel like last week it was like we were talking about the squad. It was like a pickup basketball game, like all the good sides, as in the energy and the full court passes. But I feel like OTM was kind of playing like the opposite side of pickup basketball. A lot of rough play, just unnecessary fouls, unnecessary turnovers. And I just think, yeah, for them to make me like a believer, they really need to just get an offensive set here. It just feels like they're just winging it on offense. So yeah, give me RI Wave.
Carter, you got anything different for us, or you sticking with the easy pick here?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I really want to stick with the easy pick, but one thing I will say about OTM is I love them. Like,
I
this is
do.
a team that it's like the Charlotte Hornets. Like, you really, really want to see them win, but at the same time, it's like picking the Charlotte Hornets to win a 7-game series with OKC. Like, I'm gonna go with RI Wave, but you know what, OTM, if you surprise me, you surprise me.
I mean, I love underdogs. I'll pick an underdog whenever I have like tiniest bit of hope. But I guess this week I don't. I'm sticking with RI Wave too. I just don't see OTM beating them. maybe I see OTM getting better this week and kind of learning and growing as a team, chemistry, but I just see RI Wave on a complete steamroll right now with everyone they've played in the last couple weeks. So yeah, we'll move on to our next matchup. That one is ASAP versus Azuri. And this is, all right, let's do it based off of this team showing up. So let's not predict a forfeit or anything, but if ASAP fully shows up, that's how we're predicting this. So, Carter, I'll go straight back to you. ASAP versus Azuri.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my MVP pick, Gian. If they show up, they will win this game comfortably. That's my pick. Missouri hasn't really shown me enough to where it's like I can pick them over a team like Team ASAP. Team ASAP is a really good team. They just need to show up, and I think they're going to win this week.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen the complete peak of Team ASAP. I think we need to obviously see them show up more, and they got to have their extra guys. You know, maybe they could win this one 3-on-4. Gian, I wouldn't put that past them, especially if it's Almar as his second guy showing up, and who knows who wants to be the third. But hey, let's hope they all show up. And if they do, I would stick with Team ASAP. You know, they've got two past Rhode Island MVPs on that team, and yeah, it would just be a bad to bet against them. So yeah, Jordan, who are you rocking with, Azuri or ASAP?
Yeah, I'm rocking with Team ASAP here. I just think Gian has a very good chance to get a 35 plus point game here if he's shooting the way he is. But like you said, we need them if they're here as a whole. Like for example, Philip Critchlow. I saw him last week, and he just like reminded me a lot of the big ticket Kevin Garnett, one of my favorite players growing up. Players like that, glue guys. Almar Sabat as well had a good showing in that we'd call it a scrimmage game right there because it was a forfeit. But yeah, he showed his 3-point shooting that I haven't saw in weeks prior, and I just think if they piece that all together against the lowest ranked team in the league so far, yeah, I think it's an easy win for Team ASAP.
Yeah, when you're coming together and playing with a new team, you don't want to just like shoot 20 shots your first game. So I think that's why maybe we've seen a bit of a slow start with Almar. I think he wants to be
Agreed.
more of a team player to begin with, but hey, take control, Almar, because you are definitely a good shooter and you can uh, make a huge impact with that team, especially if you got guys not showing up. Daniel, who you rocking with?
I'm rocking with Team ASAP because I'm looking at Azuri's game history here. When the lowest amount of points you let up is 90, that says a lot about a team's defense. And I mean, obviously, I'm gonna make some enemies by saying that, but I think that this might be a blowout again for Team ASAP as long as they get five guys to show up. And I think that overall this will be a bit of a blowout for Team Missouri and ASAP.
Yeah, this could be a 50-point Gian game. I really do think that, and he could go for more if he wanted to, if his team wants him to. Yeah, I mean, Azuri's defense is just not there, and we've seen, you know, Gian put up a lot of points against good defenses. So we only know what he could do this week. So, um, yeah, our last matchup. This is an interesting one. It's the squad versus us over them. So us coming off of a loss against, you know, who's next, the top team. Um, this is a bounce back week. We'll see. The squad just took down runner up last week in OTM this week. And they've kind of showed up as a good team, but I'm just concerned about their shooting. I really don't know if they've got the greatest shooting team. And if we got Shaq shooting lights out, you know, Isaac crashing the boards, and just kind of opening up that paint, I think it's gonna be tough for them to beat us. And a lot of those guys are going to have a tough time defending some of these guys on our team. You know, we got some tall lineups, and the squad's got some tall lineups, so it's going to be an interesting matchup, but I'm sticking, obviously, with my team, and I will, even if, you know, even if we lost last week, I'm sticking with my team no matter what. So, Daniel, I'll hop straight to you this time. Squad versus us over them. This is a good one. This could be matchup of the week. We don't know, but run up versus who's next is up there for that right now, I think, but this is also, I think, a really good matchup.
This is the toughest one to call, obviously, this week. There were obviously some more obvious ones that we've had to call. But I think that even with Shaq Shaq, and all the good players on us over them, I'm taking the squad because if we're looking at some of the games they've played, I think that they've all been competitive. They've beaten tough teams like Run It Up, and they even though they did lose to Who's Next, I mean Who's Next is one of the best teams, and they only lost by 7, and I'm not gonna call it blowing out OTM, but they won by a considerable margin. I feel like this team's on a roll. This will be another great game that we're gonna see, but for us over them coming off a tough loss, I think the momentum might not be fully there, and I think the squad has a really good chance to win this.
Yeah, it's like, I like to say this, it's about how a team loses that determines how good they are too. Because, if a team loses and they don't bounce back, then that shows a lot. But I think we're gonna have a comeback this week. I think we're gonna, the chemistry's building each week. Even if we have bumps in the road, it builds bonding. You bond through losing too. So, Jordan, who are you going with this week?
Yeah, I'm gonna take your team, Cade. I think I'm very adamant on us over them. You guys have a good squad over there, but yeah, you guys gonna have to work for this one. I think the squad out of all teams in the league, they get to the rim. They or at least want to get to the rim. So they'll be looking to slash. But yeah, I just think us over them has a more complete team. Is more sound on offense. This is a very offensive led league. I mean, obviously we love defense, but 8.5 foot rim league. It's very fast paced. And I just think you guys have the guys to get more buckets. That's what it gets down to at the end of the day. So yes, I'll take us over them.
Yeah, we figured out the offense, but we gotta really figure out the defense, and we gotta, find out the lineups that works best for us, and maybe we'll have to go back and watch the squad game to kind of make that perfect lineup on defense for us. Um, yeah, I actually haven't seen the squad play that much, so I'm usually playing when they do, and only time I saw them play was their loss against Who's Next, and I know their whole team wasn't there, so I got to go back and watch some of their games, see what we're getting ourselves into. But Carter, who are you going with?
I'm gonna say this now. If last week didn't light a fire under us over them, I don't know what else will. I can't like you lose a game and you have people screaming in your face, us over who? Us over who? They were mad after that game. If they don't come into this game and whoop this team, then this is I'm sorry to say it, but like this isn't that great. Also, another tidbit is I don't think the squad is a really big scoring team. Like a lot of their games, they've been good, but they haven't scored like, and correct me if I'm wrong, 100+ points on any team. Like they're a great defensive team, but when you're a team that goes 5 from 22 from the 3 point line, you're not going to score a lot. And I think us over them has the edge, and I think us over them is going to win.
Yeah, I mean, there better be a fire under our butts, because yeah, we all thought we were gonna win that game. We didn't, but we'll see. I think Who's Next and versus us over them happens in a couple more weeks, so we'll see that matchup. Every team I think plays a single team twice, and that's just happens to be the matchup that happens twice for these teams. So yeah,
Can I
we'll
add
see
something to
that
that really
rematch
quick?
soon. Yeah.
Guys, something really quick. I interviewed us over them after their win week 2, and I asked them, what are your thoughts about a tough matchup next week against Who's Next? They said they didn't have a tough opponent, and I think that maybe that mentality might hurt them in a way, just because I mean, the talking, obviously, it's part of the league, but maybe the overconfidence a little bit might hurt them in the long run.
Yeah, and maybe this was a wake up call for some of those guys. So we'll
Maybe,
see
I mean,
how us over
obviously,
them responds.
there's still a chance that they win, they do super well. I want to see us over them do super well. They're a fun team to watch. There are a bunch of funny guys on there that love scoring points, and I'm not hating on them, but at the same time, there needs to be a wake up, like you said, a wake up call, or kind of like a check in, be like, hey, we need to lock in here for a second. We can make they can make a fantastic run, probably to the finals or semis, but there needs to be like maybe a meeting, or just saying like, hey, let's win this next 3 weeks, and then we can try and up that talk and stuff.
Yeah, we got to figure out that all-star team kind of problem that a lot of teams run into, and we got to figure it out fast, because the seasons aren't I think there's only 9 games, so the season comes to an end very fast, and if you don't figure it out by the playoffs, you're not winning the championship. So yeah, we'll figure it out. I have faith in our guys, and yeah, that kind of wraps up week 3. A lot of interesting matchups next week. Um, we'll definitely have a lot of good things to talk about, and yeah, we'll come up on the halfway point very soon, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. All right, thank you, Daniel, thank you, Jordan, thank you, Carter, for joining me. Shout out our sponsors, 110 Grill and Ethos. I've been your host, Cade. We'll see you guys for week 4. Peace.